Let me tell you about this guy.
I'll tell you about this fucker right here.
Yeah.
I want to start. I can start.
Okay, fine. Start. Do your thing. I don't care. See if I care. I don't. Stop asking.
So, Mike, do you care? Do you care about things? Do you care about anything?
Oh, I check my pockets, check my old pants pockets, and I am all out of shits to get.
You're
all out of
yet. All out of huh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the world cares a lot about a lot of things, and
yes,
some more than others.
And by the world, you mean you?
Well, everybody that is below the age of 40 that has a social media account.
True. They care about
or
every single thing.
Above the age of 60 that has a social media account.
Oh my God, you killed that mosquito.
Right. Evident by the comments that I got today on our TikToks that we posted, and then evident by people's comments on a bunch of other things and all of this, the cancel culture bullshit, whatever.
It's so easy to be an ass when you aren't going to get punched in the face.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
So do I advocate violence? I absolutely do advocate violence.
Bring back bullying, damn it.
I see what this world has come to. And you know what? I don't know how against vigilante justice I really am.
Oh, man. Yeah. So speaking of that, vigilante justice.
Mm-hmm.
So there was, I think you were actually the one that brought it to my attention. There is the new Jason Aldean song, Try That in a Small Town.
Yeah.
That is caught quite, I think it's number one right now.
It is
just
number
top
one.
the charts.
It's interesting. That song is number one. I think it's number one on, at least on Apple iTunes, and then Tom McDonald's song, This Flag, I think that's the name of it.
Okay.
Our Flag is like number two, and he's trying to like beat Jason Aldean for number one.
I haven't heard that one, but
it's pissing people off.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I've heard some of his songs, so that I'm sure that it is.
Yeah.
So basically, Jason Aldean is getting all this flack because there's this whole controversy that his new song is, a mixture of things. One of them, I think the most prevalent thing that the controversy is saying is that, or like the culture is trying to say, is that it's super racist.
Right. And they are. And it's like, it's noise. All right. It's 0.03% of the population and mainstream media trying to make it look like
so
half the
when
population.
You actually scroll through, because I listened to the song today, and then after I listened to the song, I spent probably a good 20 minutes or so just scrolling through the comments on the song, right? In that 20 minutes, didn't say a single negative comment about the song. Yet, there is this huge controversy over the song and a bunch of noise on other social media that I'm sure that there are comments buried in there, right? It's a song that's getting millions of views and people are making millions of comments. So obviously I didn't read every comment.
Right.
But the majority of what I just sat there and scrolled through was all positive. So, and we've talked about this before, I think a couple of times, where it seems to be that like social media or like mainstream media gets a hold of something and like that narrative they push is it's all you hear, but is not necessarily like actually how people feel about a subject or what's going on.
And it's crazy because you get this small group of people that are very sensitive to this particular topic or subject matter, whatever you want to call it. And so they find the hurt in it, right? And then it just gets spread out like it's fact.
Yeah.
Everybody feels this. No, it's actually only let's be unreasonably fair and say it's only 1% of you that find it to be this way, and you're acting like it's absolute fact instead of just your opinion, and you want 99% of the people to become as sensitive as you.
Well, and the worst part about it is most of the time that the people that are not, and not just with this song in particular, but with a lot of things, most of the time that the people that are upset by whatever it is at the time are not the people that those people are saying it upsets.
Right.
It just upsets them. And then you have this other culture that it's supposed to be like racist against or whatever, and they're like, I don't have an issue with what this is.
And, I'll take it from a minority perspective, the things that I've experienced and hate, is I don't think there's anything more racist than basically a white person telling me that I'm too stupid to know when to be offended by something.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I can see that being
like, this is so racist. No, it's not. Yes, it is. I'm telling you that it is. You should. I'm sorry you don't realize it. So let me educate you on when you should feel something special about. So it's like, no. If all of us are fine with it and you're not, maybe that's a you problem, not an us problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I listened to the song, and I'll just, I guess, go ahead and give my thoughts. I did not feel the chord that everybody or social media is saying that this song struck. Like,
you watched the video?
Yeah, I watched the video. I did read in some background about the video and what people were talking about. I didn't read much about it, so I just watched the video and I listened to the song, and I could me just listening to the lyrics of the song, I couldn't see like where people were like getting upset or whatever, like why people were trying to get upset. I can see where people are getting or trying to make the connection by watching the video. But I guess the overall like tone of the song and the song in general, I don't know. I didn't see like any issues with this song.
So the song was released way back in May. All right. And it really didn't have too much traction.
Right.
Then the video got released.
And that's when it became
then somebody got mad, right? So the argument was like, this video is showing the BLM protesters and therefore it's racist because you're against the BLM protesters. All right. Well, they didn't show a bunch of black people doing bad things. Honestly, it looked like a bunch of Antifa people doing things in the video.
90% like white people in that video.
Right.
So when I saw things in the video, I think there maybe was one scene that was like somebody else like, swiping towards like a camera or whatever. But I saw 90% of white people or like the whole Antifa thing or whatever in the video.
Right. And so then they like, I personally, I think that's deliberate. They didn't want to put black people in that light. It's not politically correct, and it can cause problems that they caused anyway, right? But now it's like, if you are against BLM and the BLM riots, now you're racist. And so they did that intentionally because they wanted to be able to be racist and have an argument to not be racist. And I think that's crap. All right. And then the other argument was like, back in 1924 at this particular courthouse, this black guy was lynched or something like that. And it's like, how much research are you willing to do to make sure that you can be a victim?
Right. To try to prove this point that you know only 1% of you actually have, but
and so somebody dug that up to add fuel to that fire, but they didn't make mention of like, this particular location is used for a lot of videos.
Yeah.
Hannah Montana was filmed there, Nobody wants to mention that.
Yeah.
They just want to bring it down to this one little thing.
And so to me, this is where like, so personally, I'm not a huge like conspiracy nut, right? Like I don't get into all that much, but this is where like that part of me does come out. It's just this whole somebody else brought up another thing to divide people over a song that had nothing to do with them.
Yeah.
And just a song about somebody saying that all this shit happened in these cities and you wouldn't get away with that in a small town because we're all carrying guns and we'll just defend our home. Like,
Yeah, we'll defend ourselves. We're not going to let you do that crap.
Yeah.
Right? We're against this crap.
Yeah.
It's right. I think it was absurd. I think people are reaching, and for me, I think being accused of rape, racism, pedophilia, those are very serious.
Mm-hmm.
And very serious things need to have a high bar of evidence.
Yeah.
And if you just use a bar where all you have to do is feel offended and therefore that person is a racist, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You can't allow that to happen.
Yeah. Well, it takes the word and devalues its meaning, right? Like you say that about everything. So now it doesn't hold the same weight anymore.
Kind of, but it also, the thing is and this is really towards white people more than anybody, as soon as a person of color calls you a racist, it shuts down communication. Right. And when communication can no longer be had, that's when actions start to take place. Right. And I go back to pie. I like apple pie. If you take an apple piece of pie and you just start shoving it down my throat, I am going to push it away. You're going to have the opposite reaction. So when you just start shoving everything down, this is racist. Oh, you like tennis shoes? That's racist. Oh, you like tennis balls? That's racist. If you like basketball, that's cultural appropriation. If they start doing every single thing and there's no win for you, you're going to have that reaction like, fine, screw it. I'm just going to hate you guys because you hate us. And then it's like,
right.
Then you have
division.
Then they've created what they say they,
right.
What they felt existed. They're creating.
Yeah. The worst part about it is that there's that, and then there's what I was talking about earlier, where you have the own same race calling other people racist, and you're doing that to your own system. It's very, I don't know. It's very backwards. You can't say or do anything anymore.
Why?
We're gonna get
Who invented that? Was that millennials? Is it millennials still doing it and still blaming Gen Z, or is Gen Z doing it? Is that the habit that you're going to pick up from the millennials?
To be honest with you, I don't know. I don't know who it is anymore, and who was all jumping on the train. I think it's starting to, at least maybe between those two, or maybe a lot of them. I don't know. I think it's just starting to become less it's boomers, millennials, and Gen Z a lot. I don't know about Gen X and all that stuff, and I can't really speak to that. But what I see a lot is it's a lot of those generations, and it's becoming more like groupthink now, one way or the other, than it is a generational thing. And and there it's both sides, right? It's still the same fight between millennials and boomers. Boomers are automatically racist, Republicans who just want guns and want to shoot everybody, and millennials are automatically just a bunch of princesses and all of that stuff and live in a la la land. And it's that same divide. I just think it's starting to cross into Gen Z some, but I don't know if Gen Z is taking super is jumping into it a lot or not. I think probably somewhere between that, maybe a little of Gen Z before me, but not the super young Gen Z, because honestly, I think the super young Gen Z doesn't give a shit about anything. I don't know. I think that they just they're playing Fortnite and they
right.
What's going on. So I just don't think that they're paying attention. So I know at least a lot of the people that I know and I'm friends with that are in my age range don't care for it at all. I don't know about people in their getting into 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, like that range, if that is a habit that they're picking up. But I hope not, because we can't have anything.
So it's like teaching people to be a victim is teaching people to be lazy.
Mm-hmm.
And lazy people and victims become dependents.
Mm-hmm.
And they become dependent on government and the society to sustain them. And I just feel so much of this is really manipulation of the younger generations, because their mind is still more moldable, their maturity, they still have that higher level of emotion.
Yeah.
But as you get older, you start to think more and feel less.
Yeah, right. Your brain finishes developing, all of those things. And it's you're much easier at that, like, teenage years
to inflame.
to convince somebody of whatever.
Right. And it is, I remember when I was a teenager, if my best friend told a lie, I'm supporting him.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Right.
Hey, remember when I ran that kickoff back for a touchdown? Oh yeah, that was awesome.
Right.
It never happened, but I got you.
Right.
You know?
So you're like, you're full of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't know. I definitely think, and I have some good millennial friends that may probably disagree with me, but I definitely think it started there, like we've talked about in mini episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's trickling down. But I don't know. You just can't do anything anymore. Like, I wouldn't be surprised a few years down the line if this episode isn't on anymore.
So do you think the counter revolution, maybe that's not the right word. So you have this, and we'll bring it back to the song where you had this uproar against it. This song was midline, right? Then came we're going to cancel Jason Aldean and cancel this song, and then it became number one. So there was basically a counter protest. Bud Light, counter protest. Now Bud Light is saying that their sales are never going to go back to what they were. They're just accepting this as their new norm now. Do you think we're going to see more and more and more of that?
I think so. I think you're going to get a lot more people that are tired of the whole cancel culture thing. So you're going to get the opposite, and you're either going to end up in the situation where they get canceled because canceled culture won and now they're gone, or B, you end up in this like really weird, like, we crossed the line in another direction because the other side got you got so big that you're like, oh well, wait a minute, like, that guy's now a sheep. Like, I don't this is getting really weird. Like, I don't know how we ended up here, but like, yeah, I think you're gonna get that weird pendulum swing, and you're gonna have stuff that happens that it's like, that's what won out, but it's like, okay, I don't know if we should be okay with that. Like, maybe that part does need to be canceled. And it just, I think we're gonna see more of that because people are fed up. People are tired of like saying something and then getting shit on, or getting shit on for something they said 10 years ago, and they get shit on for their content now, and it's like, but I already apologized for that, and like, you can obviously see my new shit is nothing like that. My view has changed, whatever, and like, I made a mistake, and now I get canceled for my one thing that I said, or my one mistake, or
right?
Whatever. Yeah. So I think so. I think you're gonna start getting that, like, somebody's gonna win out, and like we were talking about earlier, like, bad publicity is publicity. The song is number one because everybody either that agrees or doesn't agree with it all goes and listens to it to find out which side they should be on, and then reads the comments and is like, oh well, I should like it then, or I shouldn't.
Exactly. Like, gosh, I haven't heard this song yet, but let me see what am I supposed to feel about it before I listen to it. Okay, now I'm going to listen to it. How do I line this up?
Yeah, I think you're going to get that. There are people that, you know, on purpose post controversy things, like, and like things that are the extreme view of one way to troll everybody else, and they get the views because of that. Because you get people that are actually insane and they like all that stuff, and then you get people that
could this be something that was orchestrated by the Aldean camp, or is that just like way too genius for a redneck?
I don't think it's way too genius, but like his like song is country music. Like this is nothing new. Like if you listen to any other country song, especially any of the ones that like pander to their audience, it's just guns and beer in small town. Like that's what country music is. So to me, this isn't anything new. It's just that he put up a video with some clips, and that's what got the controversy.
Right.
But like you said, when it was released, like it was just a song. It's just another country song. Just
I hadn't even heard of it.
Right.
Until the controversy started.
Right. I didn't either.
And then I had to go and watch it a few times so I'd watch it, and then somebody would say something, then I'd go back and watch it again to see what they're talking about. And so now, he's got 3 views out of me, and if there's like 1 million people that watch it 3 times, that's 3 million right there.
Right, exactly. So I don't know if it was orchestrated, but this was just country music, and this time somebody posted a video and nobody liked it.
Brandon, say something racist so that we can go viral.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great idea. I'll also lose my job.
Actually, you know what? That reminds me of a TV show. I forget the name of it. I'll have to get back to you. But my friend turned me onto it. It's where they're doing jury duty. And that might be the name of the show, Jury Duty, except everybody in there except for one guy is an actor. And he doesn't know he's on a show. He thinks he's really on jury duty. And so when they're doing the jury selection thing, a guy's like, I really don't want to do this jury duty. What do you think? What do you recommend to get out of it? And he's thinking about it. I was like, oh, there's this episode of The Family Guy where this guy said something really racist.
Oh, I feel like I've seen like a clip of this or something like that.
And then when they're doing the selection, he got up and he started to say something really racist, and the guy that's not in on it is like, oh my God, is he really going to do this?
Oh, man. Yeah, I guess that's the way to go viral. Say something really racist or really crude or, I don't know, whatever.
It seems pointless.
I don't know. I think you're right. I think we're going to get to a point to where you have the cancel culture, which is great until it's not, and we start getting really weird shit that it's like, okay, there's some things that need to be bullied and like go away. We don't need this.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. There's not really an in between, and even like we were talked about a little earlier, or on one of our episodes talking about the cruises and stuff like that, and like comedy, like it's the same thing. But some comedians, as long as you're big enough, like you can get away with shit and you can say certain things, right? But then some, especially some of the more up and coming ones, like they got to be really careful about what they say and how they say it.
So like Bill Burr and Dave Chappelle. So
Dave Chappelle was
he was roasted, but he survived.
Right. Yeah. Right? Exactly. Because he had a big enough audience that he
exactly.
Yeah.
And Bill Burr, he has a big enough audience, but he's got a way of delivering it without it being offensive.
Yeah. It seems like you can get grandfathered into the to the crude jokes and like the racist jokes. As long as you were doing it before all of the cancel culture started, then you can still get away with it now.
Well, he still gets away with it now, but not as much.
Yeah.
And
and so I don't know. You know who Gabriel Iglesias is?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know if you watched his most recent special that's on Netflix, but he put out a special and he was talking about this in his show, or in the special. They basically, I don't remember the whole thing, but basically some people came to him and they wanted him to play and voice the iconic character Speedy Gonzalez, right? And he started like doing the voice and whatever, and the directors of the show and whatever they were doing came to him and they were like, well, look, we kind of want you to change the voice because it's too Mexican. It's like offensively Mexican. That's why we want you to change it. And he was basically like, no, like, I'm not going to do that. I was like, people are coming to see Speedy Gonzalez, and this is who they're expecting.
Right.
And it's like, B, this is a show that, like, all of my, or like a character that, like, all of my people, like, really enjoy. And it's people that are not in the culture that are saying that it's racist, even though the whole culture is like, don't ruin it. Like, stop.
Exactly. It's like, have you heard anything about the new Snow White movie coming out?
No. Wait, maybe, but go ahead.
All right. So Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, except they're not dwarves anymore. They're magic people.
Okay.
All right. So some of them are dwarves and some of them are not.
Okay.
And so now some of the actors who are dwarfs are mad, saying you're taking jobs from us. I mean, how many stories are there involving people like us? And now you want to give it to tall people.
Right.
All right. So pissed off about that. They did the same thing with the Oompa Loompa and the Willy Wonka movie coming out, where they have Hugh Grant as a Oompa Loompa, because now they're not small people, right? But back to Snow White, it's Snow White is no longer a princess waiting to be woken up by the prince. She's like this strong, independent woman leader thing. It's like, this story is so different than the original. Why not just call it something else? Because it has nothing to do with Snow White.
Yeah. Well, and they did that a lot with, like, they've got a I don't know why I'm blanking on the show, but they've got a show that involves all of, like, the Disney classic characters, right? And that's who Snow White is in the show as well. She's like this strong, like, hunting woman, blah blah blah, whatever, right? And not like necessarily like the original, or like the original movies that came out. And yeah, it's just, we're doing that with a lot of things just to, like, say we checked a box when the original was fine. Like,
right. I've talked with a lot of people about the whole recasting and making characters of a different race. And most of the people I talk to is like, don't do that. You know, I think there's enough creativity that you can create new characters who are black, who are yellow, who are red, who are brown.
You are what I can't think of the right word right now, but you're pandering. Like, you're just like, oh, well, like, we'll just give you this. Like, we feel bad, so, like, we'll just give you this. And also, they're taking away all the redheads. They're taking all the redheads and making them a different race. It's like, well, what about the redheaded people?
Yeah, it's crazy.
It just, there's got to be, like you said, more creativity. Like, you can come up with roles for these people that you want in these roles, rather than changing a story because you feel this weird sort of guilt. Like,
yeah, it's weird to. So the way I like put it is like, because you're racist, you want to change the races to make them something else.
Yeah.
So that you can feel better about yourself, even though it hurts them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Rather than just creating movies that was for whatever you need to do. And I'm not saying you should or shouldn't, but there are very good movies where those roles do exist, and there's nobody that can replace those characters. And 10 years from now, nobody would go, oh, well, let's throw a redhead in for that person. let's change it up a little.
Right.
It just, it wouldn't go the other way around. And it's just, people feel this weird guilt about certain things, and, like, I don't know, the creativity is lost into just remaking shit. And to pander to this, I don't know, weird, like, cancel culture thing.
Right. So we're going to remake The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, but instead of Clint Eastwood, we're going to use Julia Roberts. Yes. It's like, no.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's, I know we've been, like, shitting on cancel culture for the last half hour, but I do want to say one thing. There are some places where I think you got, like, there is the nice balance of, like, people being upset about something and, like, going after it, right? Like, you've got things going on right now with, like, well, like, nobody's getting movies right now with the strikes or whatever, right? You have these different things that happen that there are there are good things that come out of it, but we're so far into the extreme with the whole cancel culture thing that there's no positivity to protesting anymore. There's no like, we're going after this like good cause and whatever. Now it's just like, we're just like taking down this person and ruining their entire life because of
right. And that's I think that's a distinction that we need to make. You know, I don't mind a protest as long as it's a protest. It's not blockading an interstate. You know, it isn't setting buildings on fire. It isn't starting fights. Those aren't protests. That's acts of violence and inherently dangerous. I mean, we tell our kids never to cross the street without looking, and now you're going to like stand in the middle of the interstate, and you have highly emotional people. Somebody in a vehicle surrounded by metal is going to get mad and just drive through. You know,
I've seen a lot of the videos where people are starting to do that now. They're starting to just like, they're not running them over per se, but like they're just, I'm just gonna keep inching forward, and like you're either gonna move or you're not gonna move.
Right. And I don't blame them. You know, I don't think making people 2 hours late for work and costing them their job is going to help anybody's cause.
Why would they support you?
Right.
But if I'm the person that's 2 hours late and I lose my job or like get a demerit or whatever because somebody was protesting in the street, I was like, I'm not supporting your cause now. Why would I do that?
I know. I'm just like, I'm going to take your little, you know, piece of paper that you want my signature on. I'm going to pour super glue on it, put your hand on it, and I'm going to light that bitch on fire. You know?
Yeah. But yeah, I think overall it's just, it is getting to that point. Like it's too far, and now we're starting to get the opposite, and God knows what that's going to do in certain situations.
Oh, yeah, especially since the opposite are the ones that...
It's the other kind of crazy.
But yeah, it's the ones that have the stockpile of guns and ammunition. Let's be real.
Yeah.
It's soldiers like me. You know, like, oh yeah, I'm not going to tell you where it is, but I've been buying ammunition for the last 25 years. You know.
Yeah.
So
exactly. It can be good when some of those people start to crash.
Exactly. Yeah. I've been building this bunker. I have little, you know, holes for the barrels to go through.
The VA's not taking care of me. I mean, I've been waiting to shoot another person for a long time.
Matter of fact, I've been playing with technology. I just have hidden guns over here with the ammunition that fires upon detection of movement.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, it can get crazy, and we're going down a bad path, and I'm hoping the canceling of the cancel culture is happening.
We just need a nice balance, right?
Yeah.
They can't cancel the things that actually deserve to be canceled, right? Like fight against the things that actually deserve the fight and the effort, and not over.
I would be happy with consistency of argument. Right? We're so, person A did this thing, but they're aligned with me, so it's okay.
Right.
Person B did the exact same thing, but I don't like them.
Right.
So it's not okay, and we're going to rail against it.
Yeah,
we're gonna circle up and defend ourselves, and then point our fingers at you.
Yeah. It's extremely biased depending on which side you're landing on.
Yeah.
And rather than just the facts are the facts, and if the country agrees with it, then they do, and if not, then they don't.
And I think, to be completely honest, is like, if mass media was right-leaning, would be in the same position except with the right-leaning things, right? So it's really...
Yeah, it's not about left or right, because you got the same kind of crazy on both sides. It just...
Yeah, I just think it's the human nature.
Yeah.
And the people in charge. It's just, they got so focused on winning their arguments that they've lost focus of the purpose of their existence.
Right.
Or
the purpose of the argument itself.
Yeah. You know,
why we're even having the argument in the first place.
If Bob's in favor of a crosswalk, we can't have one there.
Have you? I think maybe it was a Key and Peele skit. I don't know or maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was someone else. But I saw a clip recently that was like, it was kind of like that, where there was like the president sitting there, and you have like all these people sitting at the table, and he's like, well, I think that we should kill all homeless people, and everybody's like, no, we can't do that, absolutely not. And he's like, okay, perfect, protect the homeless and provide for them, check, next item on the docket, right? So he says this outlandish thing, and they're all focused on like, no, like that's crazy, why would we do that? And then it's like, oh, good, so you support my other one, got it, all right, check. and that's kind of what it's become, right? It's just like this. Yeah, we're only focused on the argument. It doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah,
like you said, Bob's like.
But it's just extreme examples. Like he would say, "Kill all the homeless people." Like, no. Okay, we give every homeless person $100 million. Right. It's like there's something in the middle, I'm sure.
Yeah, and the people start like sweating and all these things. And like, how does he keep doing this? Like, I don't understand. And I don't know. It's really funny, but I think it's like you said, it's like that, and it's like, well, Bob doesn't like crosswalks. It's just like. So we put crosswalks everywhere, even in the middle of the street. We're putting crosswalks all over the place. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, there we go. There's our
this podcast.
Yeah, that's a podcast. That's our rant on the Jason Aldean song, and
a bunch of other things.
we got extra.
Yep. Tried in our small town.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys, and girls, and everybody in between. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. And as always, peace be the journey.
Bye, guys. Thanks for watching.